Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parijapachaya Shri Iti Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki Shri Prabhupada ki Shri Gonitai ki Shri Krishna Balaram ki Shri Giriraj Maharaj ki Shri Radha Govinda Madhava ki Guraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki Haryam Sankirtan ki Madanga ki Gauda Prema all glories to the assembled, glories to Sri Guru, Grango, glories to Sri Bhakti. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutani Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namaste Saraswate Devi Gauravan Vishani Nirvate Shasanyavani Vastakade Shasani. Inside my coat are some paper tissues. Welcome everybody. This morning especially. A good fortune to be in the presence of all of you, especially Agnidev Prabhu and Goswami Prabhu, other senior devotees here today. Paramgati Prabhu may not be with us, I don't know. And all the other devotees on this occasion to remember the very beloved Srila Prabhupada and remind her again of our link with the Parampara, with Srila Vyasadeva, and ultimately back of course to the Supreme Lord. So today we're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam. I don't know which verse, which canto. Where are we?
First, Canto 9, Chapter 1.
Chapter 9.
Yeah.
Canto 9. Canto 9?
Yeah, Canto
Starting
9.
on verse 17.
Yeah, verse 17.
Verse 17, the board is
The word is there, yeah.
I can't see it. Canto 9, Chapter 1. Text number 17, is that correct?
Yes.
So we move forward from the pastime of Bali Maharaj. And now we're on the pastime of King Sujumna becomes a woman. Interesting stuff. Please repeat Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Bhagavan Yem Idam Jatam Karma So Brahmavadina Vipayayam So Kastam Maivam Syat Brahmavikriya Bhagavan Kim Idam Jatam Karmava Brahmavadinam Vipayayam Maho Kashtam Maivam Syad Brahma Vikriya Bhagavan Kim Idam Jatam Karmava Brahmavadinam Vipayayam Maho Kashtam Maivam Syad Brahma Vikriya Bhagavan Kim Idam Jatam Karmava Brahmavadinam Vipayayam Maho Kashtam Maivam Syad Brahma Vikriya
vikriya.
Bhagavan kim idam jatam.
Bhagavan kim idam jatam.
Karmavo brahmavadinam.
Karmavo brahmavadinam.
Viparyayam aho kashtam.
Vipayayam aho kashtam.
Mayam syad brahmavadina.
Mayam syad brahmavadina.
Bhagavan kim idam jatam.
Bhagavan kim idam jatam.
Karmavo brahmavadinam.
Karmavo brahmavadinam.
Viparyayam aho kashtam.
Vipayayam aho kashtam.
Evam syat brahma vikriya.
Naivam syat brahma vikriya.
Bhagavan kim idam jatam.
Bhagavan kim idam jatam.
Karmavo brahmavadinam.
Karmavo brahmavadinam.
Viparyayam aho kashtam.
Vipayayam aho kashtam.
Naivam syad brahma vikriya.
Naivam syat brahma vikriya.
It is
Bhagavan kim idam jatam.
Bhagavan kim idam jatam.
Karmavo brahmavadinam.
Karmavo brahmavadinam.
Viparyayam aho kashtam.
Vipayayam aho kashtam.
Naivam syad brahma vikriya.
Naivam syat brahma vikriya.
Bhagavan kim idam jatam.
Bhagavan kim idam jatam.
Karmavo brahmavadinam.
Karmavo brahmavadinam.
Vipayayam aho kashtam.
Naivam syat brahma vikriya.
Bhagavan,
Bhagavan,
O my Lord,
O my Lord,
Kimidam,
Kimidam,
what is this?
what is this?
Jatam,
Jatam,
born.
born.
Karma,
Karma,
fruitive activities.
fruitive activities.
Vaha,
Vaha,
of all of you.
of all of you.
Brahmavadinam,
Brahmavadinam,
of you,
of you,
who are expert
who are expert
in chanting
in
the
chanting
Vedic mantras.
the Vedic mantras.
Vipayayam,
Vipayayam,
deviation.
deviation.
Aho,
Aho,
alas.
alas,
Kashtam,
Krishna,
painful.
painful.
Ma'evam syat.
Manasya,
Thus it should not
thus it should not
have been.
have been.
Brahma Vikriya,
Brahmavadinam,
this opposite action
this opposite action
of the Vedic mantras.
of the Vedic mantras.
Translation and report by Srila Prabhupada. My Lord, all of you are expert in chanting the Vedic mantras. How then has the result been opposite to the one desired? This is a matter for lamentation. There should not have been such a reversal of the Vedic results, reversal of the results of the Vedic mantras. Purport. Srila Prabhupada. It looks like Prabhupada's quite an amazing purport by the looks of it. The subject matter we're discussing here, some of you are familiar with this subject, some are not, and some are not being here. So what is the subject matter? Who knows what the subject matter is? What is this referring to? somebody is addressing the qualified priests. You're all expert in chanting Vedic mantras. How is it that we have the opposite result of our objective? Anybody know?
The king wanted a son, and he engaged some Brahmins for a yagya, but the wife, she approached the priest, chief priest, and she asked for a daughter. So she got a daughter. They got a daughter instead of a son, and the king didn't know why.
Ah, there you go. There you go. So who's the father?
King Sudima?
Father and mother. Who's approaching? Who's speaking?
The king is complaining here.
Yeah, but who is that? Manu at first had no sons. Huh? Therefore, in order to get a son for him, the great sage Vashishta, who was very powerful in spiritual knowledge, performed a sacrifice to satisfy the demigods Mitra and Varuna. So Manu had no sons. During that sacrifice, Shraddha, Manu's wife, who was observing the vow of subsisting only by drinking milk, approached the priest, offering the sacrifice, offering obeisances to him, and begged for a daughter. Told by the chief priest, now offer oblations, the person in charge of oblations took clarified butter to offer. He then remembered the request of Manu's wife and performed the sacrifice while chanting the word Vashat. Vashat. Manu had begun that sacrifice for the sake of getting a son, but because the priest was diverted by the request of Manu's wife, a daughter named Ila was born. Upon seeing the daughter, Manu was not very satisfied. Thus he spoke to his guru, Vashishta, as follows. So Manu is speaking to Vashishta. And today's verse, my Lord, Manu was saying, my Lord, all of you are expert in chanting the Vedic mantras. How then has the result been opposite to the one desired? This is a matter for lamentation. There should not have been such a reversal of the results of the Vedic mantras. This is where we are now. And the purport Srila Prabhupada writes, in this age, the performance of yajna has been forbidden because no one can properly chant the Vedic mantras. Do we have a Russian translation going on?
A French lady.
I'm doing it in French.
Is it okay? Can they hear?
Yes, they supposed to be.
Master Leela can hear?
Yes, it is.
Very good hearing. If Vedic mantras are chanted properly, the desire for which a sacrifice is performed must be successful. Therefore, the Hare Krishna chant is called the Mahamantra, the great, exalted mantra above all other Vedic mantras. Because simply chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra brings so many beneficial effects. In fact, our Prabhupada immediately goes straight into the chanting of the Mahamantra. And they're talking of Vedic mantras and priests chanting properly and children and yajnas and this family genealogical lines and all sorts of things. And worship, pleasing the demigods. And Prabhupada mentions nothing in the purport except for chanting Hare Krishna. Everything's chanting Hare Krishna. Everything's there in the Mahamantra. All purposes to serve Yavan Akudapane Sabatak Samsatoduke. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, all purposes served by a small reservoir are served by the great reservoir, the ocean. Because it gets, whatever it's got, it comes from the ocean. A little pond. Similarly, one who knows the purpose behind the Vedas is to be understood as a knower of everything, basically. Don't need to make a separate endeavor. Significant. Whatever we're desiring in this world is to satisfy our, perhaps our duties, but certainly to satisfy our desires, whatever they may be, whether they're dutiful or not dutiful. But all desires, ultimately, what's the purpose of everything we do in this world? Atak pumbir dvijashreshta, varnashrama vibhagashama. Sunishtitasya dharmasya, samsid here, haritoshanam. What's it for? To please Hari. Everything we do, whatever it may be, we may be a king, a pauper, a man, a woman, businessman, a king, whatever it is, a brahmana. It is to please Haritoshanam. Some sit here, Haritoshanam. And if it doesn't, Dharmas Punishita Pumsham, Vishvakstena Tasya, Nutpadaya Yadiriting, Shramma Eva Hi Kevalam. It is a complete waste of time. Okay, system is there. We're hearing cultured society and so on, and the importance, of course, of having family and children is absolutely required there in this world. But ultimately, it has no absolute value in of itself. If it's Haritoshanam, something here Haritoshanam, it develops. It's like Prabhupada gives the example. If you have 0, how much value do you have? You have 0 euros in your pocket. Is it valuable? Maybe if there's some robbers around. I mean, thank God I've got 0 in my pocket. But in of itself it has no value, huh? But if we put 1 in front, you've got 10 euros. No matter what the figure is, 1,000,000 zeros is worth 0. But 1 in front, you've got 10 million. Not 1, 10 million euros. When we put Krishna in front, Krishna in the center, everything becomes valuable. So Prabhupada immediately reminding us, we're not here to become yogic brahmanas. We're not here to become pandits. We're not here to become some kind of yogis performing tremendous austerities. And this is what we're here for. Therefore, the Hare Krishna chant is called the Maha Mantra. We're here to chant Hare Krishna. All purposes are served by the chanting of the holy names, the Maha Mantra. So many beneficial effects. I should have looked, but I have a list. 108 reasons why you should chant Hare Krishna. So we're going to think of one. There's one reason why we should chant Hare Krishna. Why not perform Vedic mantras? Practice, spend your whole life perfectly pronouncing. If you don't perfectly pronounce them, there will be no effect or an ill effect, depending how bad our pronunciation is. Motive, etc. In chanting Vedic mantras, one has to please all the 33 million demigods. you displease one of them, all havoc made. Let loose the will. Pretty hard task. You try being in management of this temple. Try to satisfy 2 devotees, you're doing pretty good. 1 maybe. Maybe. But beyond 1, you're lucky. The only thing that satisfies everyone is prasada. No, that doesn't always satisfy me. Depends, doesn't it? We're all different. But really the thing that satisfies everyone, if we're serious, is kirtan, chanting the holy names. When we come together, let go of everything else and just hear the holy name being sung. Everyone becomes satisfied because this is the only means in Kali Yuga, really. Everything else may, as Lincoln said, you can satisfy some of the people all the time, all of the people some of the time, but you can never satisfy all the people all of the time. Material, you can understand. But when a heart is focused on Krishna, everyone can be satisfied. Because that's our normal position when we're back in the, with all the fishes in this world. When we're all back in the water, we're all jumping with joy. So what's an effect? What's a good effect of chanting Hare Krishna?
Brings auspiciousness.
Brings us?
Auspiciousness.
Okay, it creates auspiciousness, not just, this is one of the special features. When we chant silently, it may bring, benefits to ourselves, and some Vedic mantras may bring benefits to a certain sector of society for a certain time. But when we chant the Maha Mantra, it brings auspiciousness to every living entity. That's why Rupa Goswami describes this as the highest welfare activity, devotional service, denoted by the chanting of the Maha Mantra, like Siddhanta Maharaj says. It's the highest service to mankind. Haridas Thakur, when he was with Mahaprabhu was just, through Haridas Thakur, was clarifying beyond doubt the importance of the Maha Mantra as the Yuga Dharma. And Mahaprabhu seemed to be in anxiety. He's chanting the holy name, spreading it, millions of people are chanting, and still he's in anxiety. Why? Why is he in anxiety?
From separation.
He wants everyone to be saved.
Pardon?
He wants everyone to be delivered.
He wants everyone to be delivered. Go a bit more specific.
He wants non-moving living entities like stones.
Yes, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was thinking, well, okay, we've delivered the animals in Jharkhand and everywhere else we go. And the human beings for sure. But what about the non-moving living entities? We don't look at them as living entities. A lump of stone. Lord Chaitanya, because his conscious, may not be very conscious, but there's living entities everywhere. Sarvagata. Just in dormant state. So how will they be benefited? And what did Haridas Thakur say? Loud chanting of the holy name, even the stones, everything, the trees, the stones, all living entities benefit. It's all auspicious. The chanting of the holy name is, there's nothing in it. Well, of course we can commit offenses, but in principle the chanting of the holy name of the Lord is all auspicious because it is Krishna himself. We can get into the details of how Krishna reveals himself, but we'll carry on with the purport. Another benefit of chanting the Maha Mantra brings auspiciousness. You can take that a little further. In what way does it bring auspiciousness to us?
It brings presence.
Now that's like the pinnacle. That's like the goal, the ultimate result, practically.
It brings the presence of the Lord immediately.
Okay, the presence of the Lord is there. That's what makes everything, like when the sun shines, then everything's enlightened. When Krishna is Surya Sammaya Haya Andakara, when Krishna is present, there is no Maya. Okay. Anything else? Rain? Rain. I'm the gardener here. Rain, yeah. Prabhupada said that in Hyderabad. Huh? Not that we necessarily do it like for that. I remember one time I was in this town called Huntley. Anyone from New Zealand? Where? Who? Where? Anyone from New Zealand here? Gauranga Prem knows this place quite well. Huntley is a small town about the size of not much bigger than Akriya actually. Slightly between there and Losh, somewhere in between those two towns. Valençay, size of Valençay, perfect. Valençay. Size of Valençay. We went on Harinam Sankirtan, 4 or 5 of us, small town, and when we arrived, it just poured with rain. I've never seen in New Zealand such a downpour. It was like a monsoon rain. And there was hardly anywhere to shelter, just one shelter in front of a shop. We went under there, we started chanting Hare Krishna, nobody around. It was pouring with rain, but we just carried on chanting. And one man came up and said, What are you doing? You should be chanting a mantra to stop the rain. You should be chanting a sun mantra. He was going on at us, you know. But normally, Prabhupada said, when we chant the Maha Mantra, rain may come. Of course, that's not the real goal, you could say. What are the really beneficial effects? If it rain comes or not rain comes, it doesn't necessarily awaken our Krishna consciousness.
It cleanses the heart.
Cleanses the heart, that's what Prabhupada says here. Exactly. Cheto darpanamajanam bhavamaha jagagni nivartanam Shreya koyava chandrika vitaranam vijayavati. Every morning we chant that. Glory to the
Shri Krishna.
Sankirtan.
loud. Come on, loud.
Shri Krishna Sankirtan.
Which? Come on, all together.
Accumulated for years. The fire.
Oh, glorious to the Sri Krishna Sankirtan, which cleanses the heart of all the dust accumulated for years, sometimes you say together, and the fire of conditional life, of repeated birth and death. This Sankirtan movement is the prime benediction for humanity at large, because it spreads the rays of the benediction movement. Very good. There's a beautiful, beautiful commentary on this Sikshastakam by Bhakti Vinod Thakur. We don't have time to not deal with that today, but it's such a beautiful commentary on each and every word, especially this benediction moon. It is the life of all transcendental knowledge. It increases the ocean of transcendental bliss. And it enables us to fully taste the nectar, for which we are always anxious. Well, we should be always anxious for that real nectar, and not just the so-called reflection of nectar in the material world. But maybe we're still anxious for that as well. But when we actually absorb ourselves in Sri Krishna Sankirtan, I mean, isn't it? It's just the whole material world doesn't exist anymore, right? Isn't it? When you absorb yourself in Sankirtan, do you worry about all these things in this world? Well, if you're absorbed in Sankirtan, you won't. If you're absorbed, of course, in motivated chanting, that's different. But when you dance and chant, if you can't dance, just to appreciate and to chant as much as we can. Krishna understands. And if we can dance, dance. Why not? What benefit do we do by not dancing? How do we benefit ourselves or anybody? And chanting. Some people may think, when the first time I started chanting Hare Krishna, one of my friends said, "What is this? Just chant anything. Fish and chips. Fish and chips." He was going, chips, chips. Anything, what are you doing? Nonsense. He couldn't appreciate. But anyone can experience this. Not. How can possibly you carry on chanting for years on end? How many years, Agni Day Prabhu, how many years have you been performing kirtan?
From the beginning.
Yeah, how many years is that? 100? Not yet. Maybe one day you'll say 100.
I'm 72.
72 years?
No, 1972.
Oh, 72. That's 50 years. 50 years. You bored? Why not? It's the same thing you're doing it's a real boring process. Sometimes people say, "Don't you chant anything else?"
I've been told that.
I bet you have. Well, you do chant. But even what you chant is really no different than the Mahamantra, because the bhajans, the songs or the realizations given by the acharyas are nothing but expansions of the holy name and means by which we can surrender to the name and chant the holy name purely. They're no different than the holy name. Emphasis is, of course, in their songs is to chant the Mahamantra too. But maybe some people do get bored because the mind, they haven't grasped with what we're doing here. But this is our time with Krishna. Krishna loves to see you dance and chant. He loves it. When you have a little baby, Yandarvata's got a baby, is she here? If you see your little daughter dancing and chanting, how do you feel? You'd be really happy, right? You don't even care what she's chanting, even if she's pronouncing it wrong, huh? Ma ba ba ba, ma ba 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 ba. Huh?
I will hear the Mahamantra.
Whatever your kid's chanting, you'll be happy, right? When Prabhupada, when he was in Butler, huh? When he saw that little boy, Prabhupada actually assisted the little baby boy to make his first steps, right? And Prabhupada was laughing and smiling and clapping. He was happy to see. He saw him just like his own grandson. It's joyful, it's a natural thing. Krishna likes to see his parts and parcels happy. And he likes to see them dance and chant. People like to dance and chant, generally, right? Normally people love to dance and chant. They pay a lot of money to do it. Go into the ballroom or some rock concert or something like that, the pub to get drunk so you, without any inhibition, you dance and make a mess and do crazy things. But this congregational chant, many people appreciate, many people don't, because they're so covered. But still that benefit, that auspiciousness, something gets in there. Therefore, the best performance of yajna given to us is the Sankirtan Yajna, complete. Sankirtan means complete glorification. It's not just singing only, it includes everything else too. Every form of devotional service is an aspect of Sankirtan, but it also means congregationally we come together and chant. Yajnai Sankirtanam Prayayajvantihi Sumedashama. Who knows that verse? Krishnavan Trisha Krishnam Sangomagasta Parshadam Yajnai Sankirtanam Prayayajvantihi Sumedashama. What does it mean?
some men of intelligence will glorify the holy name, will worship God by glorifying His holy name.
Yeah, essence, you've got the essence. Anyone want to, let's say, add to that in this age of Kali? Worshipping Lord Chaitanya. In this age of Kali, men who are, it doesn't just mean men, it's women also. When the word men is mentioned, it is just traditional like that. It refers to all mankind particularly.
It's an ocean of fault.
Huh?
Kali is an ocean of fault.
That's another brilliant verse. But this particular verse,
who have good brains.
Those who are intelligent, those who've got good brains, what do they do? Good intelligence, what do they do?
They worship Krishna in this age, who is always chanting Krishna.
Yeah, he's performing Sankirtan, and he's with various, and he has different translations of it. You know, he's accompanied with his weapons and so on and so forth. When you worship the Lord, you're performing Sankirtan Yagya in this age. And how do we worship that Lord? How do we worship Lord Chaitanya, or Krishna in the form of Chaitanya, that golden form? How do we worship Him? Yeah, it's very simple. Very simple. It's not a difficult yagya. Anyone can do it. Because in Kali Yuga, as Rangi mentioned, it is full of faults. What's that verse? Asti Hek Mahanguna Kirtana Deva Krishnasya. Yes. And what does this mean? Kali Yuga, full of doshas. We had lots of doshas the other day. They were very nice. Ocean of doshas. South India, ocean of doshas. Full of faults. Well, maybe there's no faults, only doshas. Ocean of faults. In this Kali Yuga is an ocean of faults. So what do we do when we're in an ocean of faults? We're hopeless. Huh? There is one Ekamahanguna, one great quality. What is that?
By chanting Hare Krishna, you can become delivered.
Can become?
Mukta.
No, delivered.
Yeah, delivered. Mukti. We don't want mukti, we want deliverance. But mukti, Lord Chaitanya, when he was discussing with Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, and what was that verse? Is it verses? Oh yeah, mukti padai, dayabhak. That one who takes shelter, one surrenders to Krishna. Yeah, mukti, yeah. Tateva kampam susamikshmanan, bunjana ivatna kitavi pakam, and so on. Mukti padai, that's where it's there at the end. You get liberated. So Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya Rishi was very happy with this verse, because he was after liberation. The mukti, that after becoming awoken by the Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to devotion, he did not like that verse. He liked the verse, but he didn't like the word. He changed it to Bhakti Padai. In the verse, he stuck Bhakti Padai, not Mukti Padai. Lord Chaitanya chastised him. He said, actually, real Mukti is not that Brahman realization only. It means to actually be in an eternal constitutional relationship with Krishna. That's another aspect, you could say, of chanting Hare Krishna. The holy name fulfilled. If we chant offensively, we may get material returns, by the way. If we chant Namabas, we may get liberation, according to Haridas Thakur. But if we want love of God, you have to come to Shuddhanam. Those who are intelligent take advantage of the greatest yogi in this age by chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra in congregation, Prabhupada said. Bhakti Siddhanta Maharaj said, that what does sadhana mean? Who knows? Sadhana. It doesn't mean a sadhana.
Sat means eternal, dana means wealth.
Yeah, eternal wealth. So what is, in the case of when the usage of that word sadhana, what does it mean practically speaking?
The way, the process.
The process, or a method of engaging our senses. Now, there are different sadhanas for different reasons. engaging our senses for the purpose of achieving the particular goal. So there may be many different aspects to sadhana, but generally when we say, how's your sadhana, Prabhu? What do we mean?
Or we engage in your senses.
Yeah, how's your practices, huh? How's your chanting? How's your regulation? How's your whatever, you know? Are you reading? Are you getting up in the morning? We usually refer like that in the practical sense of the term, huh? But Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj, sadhana means, how does he describe sadhana? He said, that which helps us to develop our attraction for chanting the Maha Mantra, and particularly Sankirtan. If our sadhana, he said, doesn't help us to become attracted to Sankirtan, it is actually an impediment in our service. The purpose of sadhana is not sadhana, it's sadhya, the goal. And the goal is Krishna Prema. But this is Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has come certainly to give Krishna Prema through the congregational chanting of the holy name. This is how Krishna Prema manifests. So congregational chanting of the holy name, he then said, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did not discuss any other process, even daily worship. He just concentrated, focused on congregational chanting. Congregational chanting is it's the emperor, he said. It is the emperor of all sadhanas, or practices. And the infallible means, the only infallible means of success. Everything else is there, but congregational chanting is the heart, is the center. Without that, we spin off very easily into another world, captivated by our achievements or our failures or whatever it is. The success is that we're becoming more and more attracted to congregational, and that includes Bhagavad Gita, Krishna Gita, hearing and chanting about Krishna. Yeah. When the Hare Krishna mantra is chanted by many men together, the chanting is called Sankirtan, and as a result of such yajna, now this is the Giri Govardhan's point, there will be clouds in the sky. You see, Prabhupada said, Yagyat bhavati parjanya. In these days of drought, people can gain relief from scarcity of rain and food by the simple method of the Hare Krishna yajna. There you go.
In Padayatra, South India, there was a drought for years, and in Fiji also, and Padayatra came chanting, and even the newspaper said it was because of the chanting.
Jai Hari Bol! Just see, the effects are all levels, all auspicious. If they stop their sinful activities and chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, all their problems will be solved without difficulty. There'll be no problems left. That'd be boring, huh? Most of our time is spent, how am I going to do about this problem? My mind, my body, this person, that person, this manager, that manager, oh no money, oh God, the roof's leaking again, electricity is not working, one thing after another, you know, can't get anyone to put the wood in the wood burner and the boiler, no one to cook the breakfast, oh my goodness. Why do they put so much spices in this prashadam? No end of problems around here. And of these devotees, they never talk to me. There's no end of problems around here. Boring if there are no problems, huh? Really boring. Oh, what would we talk about?
Krishna.
Huh? Krishna. Who's that? He is. That's that. He is the cause of all causes. He's the cause of the problem. There's no end to our, you know, say, missing the point. Coming together, chanting, because we have common sense. But there are many times where Prabhupada said, just come together and chant Hare Krishna. Said this is the only solution. He wrote that, I think, to different devotees. Several letters. So many problems. He said, wrote this to us also in London. I remember very vividly, because in the middle of it. He wrote one letter to the, I think it was to Janananda or somebody. He said, all these problems which you're talking about can only be solved if you all come together and chant Hare Krishna. Not just one group, but everybody. And then you'll become free of your, party, political, mentality. Not solved by establishing our opinion. Almost finished. In other processes of yajna, there are difficulties because there are no learned scholars who can chant the mantras perfectly well, nor is it possible to secure the ingredients to perform the yajna. Because human society is poverty-stricken, try telling that to modern-day society, they just can't relate to it. I mean, they relate to some parts of the poverty-stricken, but they think they're more opulent than they've ever been. But Prabhupada is saying modern society is so poverty-stricken. What do you eat? Oh, maybe here we're eating off of stainless steel plates or something, or some porcelain or something. But previously they could eat off of gold and silver. Can you imagine at lunchtime serving everyone on golden plates, pure gold? What do you think? Can we do that? Huh? I don't know. I wouldn't recommend it. If somebody has got such greed and lust to steal that little tiny cow that was on the reception table out there, with nothing inside her, except maybe a couple of cents, and take 40 euros out of rip off the shop out there for 40 euros. Imagine what they do with her golden plates. People are so mad in this age. They have no knowledge, they're crazy. They don't realize they're killing themselves by these activities. Whoever did that the other day, pray for their welfare, because it's a ridiculous thing to do. Yeah, poverty-stricken. Eating off of plastic, drinking out of plastic cups, plastic spoons. Oh, you could go on and on. Struggling for their 2 meals. Hardly, any natural things in their lives. Anxiety. Because human society is poverty-stricken, men are devoid of Vedic knowledge and the power to chant Vedic mantras. The Hare Krishna Maha Mantra is the only shelter. There are no hard and fast rules for chanting the Maha Mantra. That means you can chant anywhere, anytime, any place, anybody. Anyone can chant. And even if you don't pronounce it properly, we try, of course. Krishna understands. Still acceptable. People should be intelligent enough to chant it. But, it doesn't sound like you have to be very intelligent. As we heard yesterday, you don't need a master's degree or a PhD or whatever it was. Who was that came up there? Dipali, when you were mentioning yesterday. Now, her name is Damayanti Devi Dasi. Is she here? There she is, Damayanti. You have a PhD, an MA, what do you have? MBC, what do you have? MAD, what do you have? Huh?
PhD in chemistry.
PhD?
In what?
Chemistry.
No?
PhD in chemistry.
Yeah, I said a PhD in chemistry, is it?
Yes.
A PhD in chemistry, and here she is, sitting here chanting Hare Krishna. You could be doing something useful with your life. What are you doing here, wasting all this knowledge and education? Cooking this things. PhD, and you're just cooking. What is this? You could be a chemist. More than a chemist. You could be a chemical engineer. Something useful for the world. We need more engineers. Right? We need it because we're more sick, we need more chemists. No, she's really intelligent. She's really intelligent. Although she's got a PhD, if you don't have one, it's not so difficult to worry about that. But when you've got a PhD, you know, you've got something to you know, be proud of and something to give up, you could say, or offer to Krishna. Yogai Sankitam Praya Jantihi Sumedasha. Those whose brains are dull cannot understand this chanting, nor can they take to it. I think most people's brains are full of cow dung. I don't know, that's a pretty complimentary statement. Cow dung is quite a purifying substance, but it just, you know, if you tell people your brain's full of cow dung, they won't take it very complimentary, I think. Probably knock your brains out. Yeah, full of cow dung. More like pig dung. Not really any different what they're doing. Studying chemistry and all these things. Filling their brains up with, you know, all this stuff about chemicals. How does it really help anyway? No? You've got chemicals in there already. You want to put more in there. It's something to release us from this prison house, from this birth and death, from this wood of anxiety, this wood of suffering. Devotional service, as denoted by Siddhartha Maharaj said, by the Sankirtan group. Congregational chanting of the holy name. It's congregational chanting which is the Yuga Dharma, not japa. Congregational chanting. Japa is for our own self-purification. It's congregational chanting which is the means to change the world. First we have to change ourselves as well. So the things are there. The actual medicine. Medicine, as Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Inichio Shadi Maya, Nashivar Lagi. Inichi Oshadi means medicine. I brought the medicine. What is the medicine? Harinama Mahamantra. Rotoni Mahadi. Medicine to cure us. All disease. It will also cure COVID. Guaranteed. If everyone on the planet were to get together and chant the Mahamantra, there'd be no fear of COVID. COVID or no COVID, there's nothing to worry about. This is the real medicine. Pavoshri Chotramanobi Ramat Kutamashloka Banana Barat. Medicine is Kutamashloka. Glorify the Lord in various ways. Iti Shodashakam Nanam Kalikama Shanasham. To cure the ill effects of Kali Yuga. These 16 words are chanted. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Come on, the trees didn't hear that. One more time. Poor trees out there, they're not getting enough kirtan.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare
even those about to go into the boiler over there, the wood burner. They're very fortunate, those ones. They're taking part in the yajna by helping to heat up the temple. They're good fortune. Lucky trees. Jai Shri Prabhupada ki jai. We have to get along because I think there's some program this morning.
Yes, we have.
Sure?
Yes.
Okay, still on, is it?
Yes.
Okay, so who's ready? We're leaving for Harinam Sankirtan at 9:30 sharp, okay? That'll be a good thing. Everybody. Prashadam out there. Maybe 1 year. Not this year.
Right, a funny story you want to hear about Sankirtan.
Yeah.
Padayatra in England, the police came, they were mounted on horses, you know. And at one point they told the devil, you stop chanting because the horses were dancing. You know?
Not very controlled dancing, I think. They were a little uncontrolled dancing. Yes, in fact, sometimes the loud kirtan, we generally quieten down when there are horses around. They have a hard time with the madunga and loud cartel. It kind of freaks them out, you know. So you want to freak the police out if they come on horses, just loud kirtan with cartels and madunga, the horses, they go berserk, usually. Or, in Melbourne, and in Melbourne they have these horses going along the main street with carriages behind, You pay a lot of money to go on these carriages with horse-driven carriages. We always have to slow down because they really freak out when they come near. You've seen it, Melbourne.
But the cows, they're attracted to the kirtan.
Yes, the cows, but sometimes horses, but usually not. Dogs also are very often attracted to Sankirtan. Very often. I could tell you a lot of dog stories with her. The time doesn't allow. Hare Krishna. Harinam Sankirtan ki jai. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Gaur Premanandi Hari.
His Holiness Janananda Maharaj ki jai.
The Prabhupada said right here in my New Mayapur, he asked the devotees, are you going on Sankirtan? And then somebody said, yes, Prabhupada, we go once a week. I said, only once a week? And he said, yeah, well, there's a long way to go, Prabhupada. We've got to go an hour or so to the town to do Sankirtan. Prabhupada said, no, every day. Here in the temple, he said. Here in the Mayapur. Every day. Sankirtan. Hare Krishna. Jai Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Breakfast is now being served, I guess, for devotees in general. So take advantage. Don't go into the other room, right? Only in the prasad room or something like that. Hey, Rambhadra Prabhu's here with his wife from Paris. Mine, Rambhadra Prabhu. Welcome, Rambhadra Prabhu. I see Subhadra. Anyone else is here? Yes. They're very auspicious. Rambhadra and Subhadra.